Okay, we have just put an assortment of beautiful gemstones online from our current destashing collection. And not all of them, I can't put all of them online, but I did, I think, uh, choose some of the most loveliest specialist ones. And they've been in the store with their original price tag, right? So this collection is from anywhere between 2000 and 2014. And they're not all stones from my shop originally, but most of them are. And most of them also came in with the original price tag. So we left that on, and then we took another markdown of 35%. And so now that we've had them about a month or so, we still have a gorgeous collection left, but I've taken another 5%, and so you'll find them online at 40% off. And I want to make a video to share some details. I've shared, some of these before in previous videos, but I have a good amount of my community members that don't live in the area anymore, and so they can only shop online from us. And so I want to be able to share these details, with them. And it's hard to tell online, even just on photos and the website and whatever. And so it's important to me to point out some really special things about these particular strands. So I'm going to go through some of them quickly, but others I want to really share about them. So I'm just going to kind of go left to right. There's a little selection of Larimar, right, which is an opaque, beautiful kind of light blue stone here. It only comes from Larimar. And the prices you see in here is the full price, and so they're 40% off. And I'll mention it sometimes, but for the most part, right, these are in the 25-ish dollars, so really inexpensive to begin with. There's a lovely selection of apatite, some facets, some tumbles, olives, some oval tumbled colors there. Beautiful apatite, also not a very expensive stone. But with that collection, I put them in groupings on the website, kind of by stone, but by color as well. So one thing I want to point out is these couple strands of chalcedony. They vary quite a bit in price and in quality, and so I want to kind of explain why. This beautiful aqua color is a dyed chalcedony, and so it dyes really easily, and so this is a beautiful little strand. It's only $24 was its original price. And again, remember, this was decades ago at this point. We got this dyed chalcedony early, when we started carrying chalcedony, so 2002, 3-ish. The natural chalcedony, though, is this color, is more of a light blue, beautiful, natural chalcedony, and typically not very transparent, kind of cloudy and really lovely. So this is a natural chalcedony. That's why the price difference, and still it's $60 minus 40%. I mean, it's a great price. And it's a beautiful graduated strand. And those little ovals, so they're both quite lovely and great values. And again, it's 40% off that price. Then the next little grouping I put up, this is just a beautiful strand of 3mm aquamarine. And my little shop is dark where we are, and it's overcast. So I promise it's pretty. I'm looking through the camera lens, and it's still very pretty, but it's much, brighter in person, but very pretty strand. And now these are just such a great price. Let's do the labradorite. There's a couple of strands of labradorite, and these are a little more than half strand. They're 9 inches, right? A typical strand for us from India is 16 inches, and sometimes in like the tip drills, they'll string them only 8 inches because they're strung, through the tip drill in, so you're getting a lot of beads with a short amount of space, or length, I should say. So oftentimes the tip drills will be only 8 inches, but the full strands are typically 16. And so, but sometimes if I only have, like I said, a half strand worth of the beads in any particular collection, but they're still a lovely bead, then we'll string them. And I think we found these two different, so it's clearly the same stone from the same collection, meaning the same time I purchased them at the shop, but we just found them different times. Anyway, this is a beautiful natural labradorite, and I'm going to show you some lab-created labradorite here in a bit. But this is a beautiful natural cut by hand. You can tell it's completely natural, often because of how irregular the shapes and sizes and cuts are. So it's a lot of fire. It's a beautiful little cut of stone. In that collection is a beautiful strand of Peruvian opals that are slightly graduated. They're tumbled, not facets, so that's what that means. So it's when it does not have facets and it's a smooth surface, it's called tumbled. And so they're beautiful tumbled strand, a lot of the beautiful blues, and all the different shades kind of in there, one gorgeous strand. And she's a little bit longer, I think she's 18 inches. This is a particularly fantastic strand. We had green amethyst a few times, a few of my trips to India, that was just knock your socks off. Oh my God, high gem quality green ammy. So facets, still faceted by hand, still cut by hand. You can tell because these each are still different sizes, right? So in slightly different shapes. And I know it's kind of dark, but let me try to move this in the light a little bit. So it's a center drilled teardrop, which is a rare cut on its own. They're quite large and they're slightly a graduated strand. So we're starting at say 14 millimeters all the way to this is about 20. And this is about 9 inches. So it's one of those where we found about a half a strand and I wanted to string it because the quality is insane. So still all hand cut, hand faceted, but there's definitely a difference in the quality of faceting with these versus something like the labradorite, right? Where these are larger facets, larger cuts. When the time is taken to cut all these tiny facets, right, that's where you have that sparkle. And again, it is dark in here. I can't tell you how gorgeous this strand is. So it's a lovely, that light, beautiful kind of sea foamy color. And I can tell you there are 16 beads on here. So 18 pairs if you want to look at in a way of making incredible earrings. And you can definitely easily match them up from the smaller to, gradually getting larger. And the full price, so that when that strand was, a full strand, so 16 inches. Let's see, I have little notes here so that I don't have to do math online, or on camera, I should say. Sorry, I'm trying to just find it, and I don't do any editing, so we're just gonna stick together. Okay, so this full strand, I had tons of this green amethyst in different shapes, like rondelles and rounds and things. And normally when we get to gem quality, it's priced by the gram or by carats, is another way to look at it. And so the full strand was $5.50 for a lot of these green amethysts. And this strand is 9 inches. So let me just break down the math. The full strand was $5.50. At 16 inches, at $35 an inch. There's 9 inches here. It makes that strand $2.95. That's how we get the price. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's the full price. We divided by 16, and then that price per inch times the length we have. And then it's 40% off that price now, which makes it $177 for this, for the 16 beads or 8 pairs. Let's say if you're gonna do it in a pair, it's $22 a pair. It's $11 per bead. I mean, you could do insane, beautiful earrings or earrings and pendants. It's gorgeous for under $200. So gorgeous. And with those higher and expensive stones, even though they, it's a really great value, this is an opportunity to purchase that bead without having to buy the full strand. So anyway, that's kind of one thing I wanted to point out about them. And I have in the purple amethyst too. I'm going to show you in a sec. So next little collection of these kind of light greens. Let's do some of the Christophase first. All right, Christophase is pretty rare stone these days. There is the multi-Christophase, so it's cut with different shades. It's about a 4mm rondelle. There's 2 strands of those. And then we have a little selection of fluorite. And this is also great. These are great strands to show as kind of examples, I should say. So, all beautiful fluorite, all with my original tag. That's my little original tag on there, which then I can figure out which show it's from, that kind of thing. Anyway, so these are big tumbled, large tumbled fluorite stones. Again, all natural, all cut by hand. You can tell because every single one is different. And that is really what makes them special, especially today in a sea of like gem show machine made stones. So completely natural, gorgeous strand. Then this is also completely natural labradorite, but it's faceted, right? So that's the difference. That one's all the tumbled, no facets. These are cut a little flatter, and of course because they're faceted, and still each one's slightly different shape and size, but just with beautiful color, beautiful cuts to it. And they were around 40 to 48, one's 42. And thinking you're gonna take 40% off that. It's crazy. I love these strands. And then these are also hand cut, all natural. Beautiful. And you know, I didn't string this strand, it came laid away, so I don't know why. There's a couple odd purples up here, and then you know, different ones here, but they're sure beautiful. So right, you're gonna restring this into whatever you want, but look at that clarity from the way it's cut here. You know, and then some are more the satin. You can, again, if I get up close, you can see how they're all different kind of cuts, shapes, and sizes. You know, maybe in a freshwater pearl, that's a sign of pearls that didn't grow up together. But here, it's a sign of authenticity. It's a sign of completely natural stones. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And she's 58. Again, you can do the math. It's 40% off that. It's ridiculous price, cheap. You can do the math faster than I can look it up. It's $34. It's crazy. Okay, let's move on. And so then I got a little pink and purple collection going on, and we could start with that same thing with those teardrop ammy. Right, so this strand is 8 inches, where this one was, that green amethyst was 9, so it's a little shorter, but still half a strand, and still gem quality. Look at her, look at how beautiful. And these ones are a little smaller, and a little more, all this, like more similar in shape and size. I mean, they're all teardrop, but more similar in size, I should say, consistency. So they're all about 12mm by 9, and again there's also 16 here, 8 pairs. And the purple's a little less expensive than green. Green is more rare. There's also better clarity in the green, better, right, cut clarity, carat weight, blah blah blah. Even though there's gorgeous clarity in that purple, there's better clarity in the green, so it's more expensive. But the facets, the cut, insane. And so, I mean, I could do the whole math thing again for you, but this is half a strand. So I think the full strand was $3.95, must have been, and this is $1.95 or $1.17 after 40% off, which makes them $7 a bead. What? It's so gorgeous. So there's a beauty. And let's stay on tip drills for a second. Here's another strand of amethyst tip drill, completely natural. Very pretty. still really gorgeous facets, right? Very pretty. Smaller, obviously, and it's tip drilled, not center drilled. These are a little darker, I guess, but size is about 9 by 6, say. And there's like 40 beads on here. It was $140. So it's about 10 inches or so. And oh my goodness gracious, I could do the math faster than I can look at my list. But I don't see it. There we go. So 84 after the 40% off. And there's 40 beads, so it's $2 a bead. Really beautiful. Doesn't have the same clarity as these, and it doesn't have the same amount of facets. So there's that's all the things that you're paying for. But you're getting more beads here, obviously, and it's a lot less expensive too. But I wanted to show you another little strand of amethyst. And this is where you could be, oh my God, Vicky, look at the transparency, the clarity on that. Oh my God, what's that? It's lab created, that's what it is. It's still pretty. It's just not natural. It's just not completely natural. That's the difference. It does have a beautiful transparency. It was machine made to have that. So it's a short strand. I still want to put it out here. I think it's really, really lovely. And I think it's $27, right? For 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. You could spread it out. You could do it more in your earring. It's a beautiful little strand. And there is amethyst. I'm not saying it's not amethyst. Lab created stones, which is pretty much all there is now at gemstones, means there's some of the natural stone mixed with chemicals and stabilizers and different treatments to make the bead look better quality, look like a high-end quality bead. And the best way to tell that, the most common way, is if all the beads are exactly the same and cut the same. Anyway, so that's a lovely little strand. It's available. I'm just showing you the differences in quality. And the thing with the lab stones that I just want to make sure I'm saying, so I apologize if you've heard it before. As we do these destashing collections, and if we do one for you, or you go to sell your things down the road, these don't have any increased value. They won't increase in value because there's nothing particularly special about them, except they're pretty, but you know what I mean? The natural stones are very rare these days, and that's why the value, you're even looking at these full prices are, it's so underpriced, it's crazy. So let's keep going. Let's see this beautiful strand of lavender jade. So I have a couple finished pieces, and this is one of them. And I'll take finished pieces on these collections as long as it's mostly gemstones, so, or the pearl or whatever. So it's hard to see if it's a beautiful, beautiful color. And it's like a lilac. It's the full strand, it's 18 inches. So it has a few crystals in here, but it's the full strand. And it has that beautiful little lavender jade eggplant thing here. And for finished jewelry, I price it the exact price of the materials. So I think she's at $120, $140. And then less 40%, so $84. And I can tell you for a fact the pendant, the strand of jade was $90. So getting the pendant for free. Anyway, that's a lovely piece. You could restring it or not. Then there is our lovely little strand of pink sapphires here, a 3mm pink sapphire. She is gorgeous. And this was loose. I had someone restring it, and I probably should have ombre the color. I didn't really notice till after it was strung how much the color was different. And so I may, if this doesn't sell, I may restring it and ombre it out because there's different shades of pink throughout the whole thing. If I have to do that, I'm gonna raise the price. So, especially with the size it is, these are gorgeous, right? $310. They're round, it's not a rondelle. Like, it's so pretty. So it's a special shape. I don't get a lot of pink sapphires. She's a beauty, and it's full length, 16 inches. Okay, let's keep going. I don't care how long this is. I want to talk about what we're looking at. This is multicolored spinel. Beautiful. Lots of beautiful shades of pinks and purples and burgundies in there. It's a multi-spinel. Very gorgeous. It's 2 strands of those. Then we have a selection of black spinel. So there's a couple different strands of the black in a 3 and a 4 full strands. And then there's a lovely selection of tip drills. Spinel is a very hardy, beautiful stone, and these are all, again, hand faceted, natural, gorgeous stones. This is my original tag on there. This was 8 inches. It's missing the little tassel, so and it's 7 inches now, so it was missing an inch. I did the whole math thing, so it's marked at 68 as its full price. It was $10 an inch, and then it's 40% off that. And there's another little one that's even shorter. I think that one's 6 inches. Then there's this gorgeous coin, black spinel tip drill. Look at her. Look at that. That's so beautiful. And she was $120 when it was 8 inches. She's 6 inches now with still a ton of stones. And so it's 90 less 40%, whatever that is. It's a great price is what it is. It's insane for how nice quality. This stone is $54. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 6, 28. So that's a great price. That's, wow, quite a bit less than $2 a stone. Wow. Take it like a tip drill through there. So it's not like breaking off a tip drill. It's just drilled through the tip of a coin shape. You could wire wrap that. It'd be so pretty at the top, right? Oh, gorgeous. And then there is a strand in that same little group of black onyx. Just a big, beautiful Luma Flintstone. Gorgeous. I love it with all the different colors in it. I think it makes it really interesting. And my original tag is on there, $48. Beautiful. Sticking with that same lovely big chunkiness, this is another dyed chalcedony. Look how pretty she is though, right? Only $28, so gorgeous. This color is like a beautiful yummy amber color, gorgeous. There is a couple strands of citrine, natural citrine, hand cut citrine. Look at the fire on there, and I'm in the dark, practically not dark, but just regular lights, so overhead lights. The fire in the citrine is wild, and you know when you see the color in there, see the little flashes of color in there. That doesn't happen with a lab created stone, a machine made stone. You can't. Sometimes they'll have, if they add color, they add it on the outside, right? You'll see those shifts, but the shifts inside the stone, just flashes of it here and there. Only Mother Nature does that. So beautiful. So there is the smaller strand that I think she's 10 inches, and then this lovely big chunky gorgeous strand of all natural citrine in 8 inches. Beautiful. This is my last strand of this gorgeous high quality carnelian. I had like 4, and if you purchased one, then I had people emailing me and texting me and saying, "Oh my God, it was pretty, but I didn't realize the color." Right? Because it's so bright and vibrant and beautiful gem quality carnelian. Carnelian's not one of it doesn't ever get clarity. It doesn't ever get transparent the way like amethyst does. But this is pretty amazing. And so I'm sorry it's so dark, but it's so beautiful. So slightly graduated, 8mm. She's a beauty, and so I think she's like $140, and so it's $80, and it would probably be less. Green garnet, rare color garnet, really beautiful. This is slightly graduated stone. This is how it came. You could tell by the ties are on the top and the bottom. And I remember having these little stones. And the same thing where you can see the little color shifts in some of them, right? It's really, really gorgeous. I wish you could see it just through the, like, look, holding it up in a window to see all the beautiful colors in that green garnet piece. She's so pretty. Oh, let me back up with that Andalusite. This is the only other finished piece I have, and this I desperately wish you could see the color better. In Andalusite, when you are looking through, turn this a little bit. No, when you hold it up and kind of like to the window, there's all kinds of pinks and greens and beautiful natural colors in there. Andalusite is a garnet family, but more rare. And it's a pinky brown cool tone that she's so lovely. And this is 2 strands, it's 32 inches with a lovely little gold 14 karat gold foot clasp. I had it doubled to be long and beautiful, beautiful, 150 carats. All natural stone. It's just such a beautiful little stone. So you could keep it like that, or of course take it apart. In that, also in that same collection, is this little strand tip-drill rhodochrosite. Also a stone I didn't get very often, but just a lovely peachy. She's lighter than this, so peachy and yummy. Very pretty. Where were we? There's a couple strands. I'm gonna turn her. This beautiful cat's eye. Also something I did not get very often. Really lovely tumbled rondelle. Serpentine, and some pyrite. All right, that's a complete strand. A little tip drill pyrite. That's my old tag, $26. This 6mm pyrite. These are 10-inch strands. They have my original tag, $50 on there, so I did the math. I think they come out to $30. It's a full price now. And so at 40% off, it's less. It's $18 or something now. When I clean these all up, because pyrite gets dirty over time, and I clean them up, and they're so pretty and heavy and yummy. And the last thing I want to point out is this lab created labradorite. So, right, I mentioned it, this collection does have mostly my stones, but some of it is not. Some of it is from different gemstones and things. And this is lab-created labradorite. And so I did select some of what I thought was better quality of the Chinese stones, like that. So this is lovely and heavy, lots of pretty facets, very pretty, right? But this is how you know it's lab-created. Each bead's exactly the same. It's still very pretty. It's got a lot of good weight, got a lot of good fire. And so for lab-created, you could definitely tell it has more of the natural stone in it, especially because of the weight and some of the fire. And so there's 3 different strands here. They're very inexpensive. Small one's 32, and the large ones are 40. Again, less than 40%. And then at the shop, there's a few other. There's more lab-created stones still at the shop as well. Everything's 40% off. So if you get a chance to come down, there's a lovely selection of other stones as well. But these are, the ones I've showed you are mostly the ones from the bead factory that I do have all the history on and wanted to share. And I know this has been a long video. If you watched it all, great. I appreciate that. I'll leave a link to the sale, and shop away while you can and get these great deals and these beautiful stones. Thank you so much for joining me. Sparkle brightly, like the star that you are. Mwah. Peace.